Market vitals. The levels you need to triage. The triage. Got it. Triaging the market. HFR in Detroit. That's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It does.
HFR in Detroit. And
there's no
still,
safety.
Matt.
There's no safety.
Still to this. Go ahead.
There's no safety.
There's no safety. There's plenty of safety in Detroit. Detroit's there's no ability to congregate anymore because you have to pedal 17 blocks to go to your buddy's house.
Right.
Matt, you know, we are equal opportunity ball busters, right? We are. And I just want to take this time to unbust a few balls here. We have been vigilant on busting Davey Portnoy's balls, right? About generational wealth and not selling any of his Penn Gaming stock. But this, you know, let's give a shout out to him because this is so true. With everybody grandstanding about loans, felt a good time to remind people Barstool qualified for PPP. We decided against asking for money because we didn't need it. Instead, we raised $40 million for small businesses who did. Yet he's the bad guy. I mean, let's face it. I mean, he's made some maybe questionable PR decisions. He's let his mouth get him in trouble. But the fact that
his mouth and his misogynistic ways, but you know, what are you going to do? Nobody.
He built an empire on that, though.
Yeah,
you know.
Totally.
But the irony of all of it is he also did incredible work with the Barstool Fund, raising money for small restaurants, mom and pop shops. I mean, how many videos were there of people literally in tears because of his hard work and generosity and getting people to donate? I mean, I don't know. And that's the world we live in. And what the woke world has not figured out yet, that everybody's got flaws. And if you just cancel somebody, what kind of world is that? Where does that leave us if everybody just gets, I mean, I'd be canceled 8,000 times for some of the shit that's come out.
Obviously we're all hugely imperfect. So yeah, it's just a matter of time before everybody gets canceled, I guess.
Just a matter of time. Man, and then the other one I wanted to share that I found incredibly funny was an Instagram share by Tim Ferriss. And it's the wolf saying, maybe I'll get some food at the campfire, you know, a handout, some free food. What's the worst that could happen?
Right.
And then 10,000 years later, you have some breeds that not quite wolf-esque. I don't know. I thought it was good. I knew you'd enjoy it. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
All right. Let me share this other thing. My second favorite thing of the week.
By the way, we are red, heavily red.
I don't know if you saw this. Did you see this?
Oh yeah, I've seen it before, but
watch how fast this guy is.
The cameraman.
He just obviously these guys are running like a 10,000 meter or something, so they're not exactly fresh.
He's only running the last 100,
right, but the guy's got some serious wheels. I thought we'd bring that in for our sporting segment. Anyway, all right, Matt, let's
did you see Lee Westwood coming out and hammering the PGA for being a bunch of bitches?
No, I did not. But did Lee go with the live or no?
Yeah. He went with the live. So he,
you know, he's still. They're all going to make the first ones in. Obviously, going to make way more money than everybody else.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you can't see that the PGA basically folded, right?
Yeah.
They folded. They
rolled.
PR. There's no PR available that can spin that. Zero.
No.
Zero PR.
And I think he's just laughing at him because the money is still in you know, it's not nearly the money that, you know, the live is offering. So he's laughing all the way to the bank, especially especially for an old guy. I mean, Again, it's like free. It's like Raleigh Fingers and for the A's, you know, whatever. He got his $1 million. First guy to get $1 million or whatever it was, right? So it just keeps coming and coming. Did you freeze on me, Bobby?
I mean, you're breaking up just a little bit.
No, it's not me. It's your internet in Detroit.
It is my internet in Detroit. It just told me my internet's unstable.
Yep. It's not mine.
You shared this German year ahead power. And the thing that I find amazing is I really wasn't aware that France was in the same diabolical situation.
Yeah.
Because they got a ton of nukes and they've been pretty good with it. And this is a French only. France baseload power forward index. I mean,
both of these, Bob, Germany and France power costs this week alone, just this week, are up 50%.
I mean, we were talking about it on the way in.
Just suck on that for a little bit.
You shared in the network 20 million households now having a problem with their utility bill.
Yep.
And we haven't even started on this part of the curve.
Yep.
Energy, labor, we keep saying it, like bad news hasn't even hit this market yet. Today's bad news was Powell reaffirming that we're going to hike until we get prices under control.
He's already hiked too much.
Well, if your metric is inflation, those two things don't equal.
No, but I'm just saying he's already hiked too much, and it's just September's gonna be a bloody month. September is gonna be really bloody. And then, maybe when he cuts 50, 75 in September, maybe then you could buy it. Maybe then.
The timeline for me is way longer than that.
Teasing.
The timeline for me is quarters in years.
I'm with you.
I'll go back to the Benzinga interview. I mean,
you
cannot put these things. You can't. When will we ever see an energy?
If we do, it's going to be a whole new QE thing, right?
How can they though? At some point, that smashes the dollar.
I'm just saying, at some point, it doesn't work. But yeah, either way, they're zoomed. All
right, let's look at a couple energy stocks because they seem to still make money even if prices rise, right? So
let's just look at Duke. We'll look at Duke Energy, Duke, DUK, 84 billion, one of the behemoths regulated companies, pays almost a 4% dividend, which is why you own utilities typically, is for the dividend, for the cash outlay, because they do make money and they're regulated, right? So they have to give back all that profit to the shareholders. So 62 up to 116, and this is again COVID low now. And this has just been trending up since, but it hasn't broken out, hasn't really, since the March, the last of the winter high, if you will. But it's making
it certainly right. It certainly doesn't look like many of the other charts that we look at.
Still
like it's right-sided, and
unless this thing gets unless it gets under 87, it looks strong to me. So, and then Dominion is another larger name here. We'll just bring up a couple to talk about. And Dominion's trading $84. Again, about a 3% dividend. Again, you see, this is all about the dividend. This just goes up and down. Buy it when it goes down, sell it when it goes up, rinse, repeat. Collect the dividend while holding. That's the whole idea of having these in your portfolio. At least you're getting something for holding these. And then we could look at Con Ed or Ed. Let's see if I pull that up right. Consolidated Edison 9940. Again, these are all regional, electric companies. 3.2% dividend. Again, all in the same ballpark. Been as low as 62, now up here around 100. So again, man, none of those charts look like you want to be a seller of them. No, they're very bullish. And then you circle in what's happening, and Macron was on this week basically telling France that while he was trying to steal energy from Algeria and send troops there, which he again, nobody's talking about that, but he was sending troops to Algeria. And then he told the people of France that they have to buckle up, tighten their belts because the long, cold winter is coming. Then the next day he was on his yacht. So everything's good for the elites. Everything.
What do you think? How big was the yacht? Was there a good picture of it?
It was just the back end that I saw, so I don't, it was probably just a small little 58 footer or something. I don't know. It wasn't. It wasn't the one that Jay-Z and Bay were on this week for $1.5 million for the week. And by the way, Bay was wearing a muumuu, and she looks like she's 400 pounds already. She's gotten big.
Carb loading, Matt. Carb loading. You can pack on 20 in a couple weeks, no problem.
Yeah,
no problem.
Sure. Yeah.
Carb loading. All right, Matt. I went to another long established haunt in Detroit. The Moose something. What the hell? Where was I at?
Preserve. The Moosehead Preserve and
the Moosehead Preserve,
right, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. Yes,
fantastic.
Yeah.
And speaking of homes, you shared this also. 183 housing markets could soon see home prices fall 20%. Moody's says, we've been saying it for a while. Moody's just catching on here that you cannot have prices just rise unabated, interest rates go up, and then have nothing happen to the markets.
No, they just keep going up.
I wanted to share that because one thing that I found interesting about home prices was this. The esteemed governor of New York, who first of all looks like a Halloween mask. Let's just get that out. Let's just say that right away.
It's a cross between
the Hojo Halloween mask.
It's Michael Jackson and Michael Myers or something. It's a weird mask too.
She calls for 5.4 million Republicans to leave New York.
I say welcome to Oregon. Come on out here. We'd love to have them. Come on.
Oh my God. I mean, that is just seriously. The funny thing is who do they want is my question, because they want Republicans to leave.
They want more non-tax-paying citizens so they can tax
them. But they also don't want migrants from Texas getting bused.
That's what I'm saying. What do they want? They want more non-paying customers? Or the ridiculousness of this is just hilarious, because like, where are you going to get your tax dollars from if you don't have Republicans to pay?
Maybe we just watched Kelly's Heroes, Matt, here in the house, and one of my favorite lines in any movie, Kelly's Heroes, is Don Rickles telling Telly Savalas when he meets the German tank commander, see if he's let's make him a deal, make a deal. What kind of deal? A deal. Maybe he's a Republican. The next scene is the door getting blasted open from the German tank. A deal, mate. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting, Matt. And then we had to reach out, and I'm going to just share a couple of monthlies here. Back on when we see housing with those type of things going on, we've talked about retail, right? And so there was a reach out for Target and Walmart. And this is the monthly, and a lot like, well, the overall market kind of reached up and got to that average on the monthly, and it's fallen away.
Right.
Target reached up and took out that lower momentum level, but is in no way or shape or form looking like it's going to recapture that and close out of lower momentum. And then when you look at the Walmart or the Target chart, plenty of room standard deviation wise on the monthly, down to $1.05.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, Walmart, let's bring that up. Walmart, same thing, did kind of more like the broader market and actually took out its monthly average. It's fallen way away from that. And again, if this thing closes below that lower momentum level, 131.58, again on the month ends mid next week. Again, terrible. And we standard deviation modeling.
And we talked about Costco too earlier in the week, and that rallied a little bit this morning, and it's already off $10. So it rallied up to $5.50, and it's already fallen back another $10. That was after peaking last week at $5.60. So any rally you see in these names, I would suggest.
And again, when you think about the broader thing, like if you're, gas prices are through the roof. I'm spending $60 more a month in gas. If my electricity rate doubles, I was saying on the way in, we're on electric heat. Our heating bill is $360 to $400 a month, all electric heat in the house.
Right.
And, if that triples, holy smokes.
That's real.
So how can, well, again, how can retail hold in with all these other pressures going on? And the last one that he wanted, and I've never heard of this company before, the Trade Desk. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it. It's another software company. I don't really understand everything about what they do. I'm not going to pretend I do.
All right, monthly. Again, if it can hold and close out of low momentum, 54.23 on the Trade Desk on a monthly profile, that is less weak than if it can't. I mean, that's just the if-then statement. And then for this thing to really get exciting, it's got to recapture that up momentum level at $85. Obviously, then it would have to take out the highs that it's put in, but it's got some cracks in this chart right now. And close back below 54.23 is going to be really negative here this month.
So they just had, let me give you a quick profile look on it also, Bobby.
Right on.
They just had earnings last week on August 9th, and they missed, not hugely, but they did miss. Reported revs were a little bit higher, so surprise on the earnings or on the revenues, pretty much a miss on the earnings. But what's interesting to me is it rallied on that news, and that rally got you up to 78, and since then, Bob, we're off 20%. So yeah, this thing's over. It's done. It's cooked.
I love it. Well, and again, when you look at this profile now, that point of control, obviously
it came right back to the middle of it. I mean, it was just, that was the ideal. Like I'm not involved in it. I wish but look at the long-term profile, you see where it's going. I mean, now I fractaled out to the 610. The COVID low is way back here at $14, Bob, and it's still at 63. So, market cap 30 billion, and they're doing 300 million a quarter in sales. So they're doing 1.2. So they're trading at about 25x sales. Nah, not in this market. Sorry.
All right, beautiful. And I have no idea if somebody is looking to long it or short it. They just want a little color on it. And yeah, that's what we provide. The if then,
right.
The continuous if then. All right, Matt, what else did I want to talk about?
Well, we were talking a little bit about housing and, building and I'll throw in another name that we've mentioned before, Trex, and again, you think you're doing your deck now, you're redoing your deck or any Trex flooring coming into this next few years. And again, this market's taking it to the woodshed. It's making fresh new lows here. $48 basically trading down another 5%. So this is the type now we've made new lows. Like a lot of names are making new lows today. And this should, the Powell talk again, what was interesting with the great opportunity today, if you're on top of this and you've been paying attention to us, listen, we said we would rally into Powell. We rallied into Powell, and now we are looking to, let me just bring up the daily chart because it was fascinating. Like if you were ready and you had your orders ready, we ran up before the meeting, before the speech was released, right? We ran up here to 13.2, which was where I thought we'd go when we got over 13.020. We had 200 points higher, so we went right to it. There was a bracket from earlier in the week, so you could have caught it both ways. You buy that bracket on the breakout yesterday at 13,020, it goes up to 13,220, like almost to the T, right? Then it fell hard when they released the speech and went all the way down. And then he started talking, and of course they jammed it up and took out everybody that was trying to get short down here, took it up 150 points. But if you were just waiting again, you could have sold that again at 13.1. I think it got all the way up to 2 again. Yeah, 198. And then from there, it's just been nothing but selling all day, which is the right. Sometimes the market does do the right thing. Today is one of those days, but
for the don't.
Well, but I mean,
sometimes the don't is paid.
It was very mechanical.
Yes, I agree with you. With money, against money. Matt, I wanted to just talk a second about the Shrimp Mojo.
Yeah.
Our sponsor, Manja.tv. And tomorrow, Matt, as I'm visiting here in the Midwest, tomorrow I got put on duty for providing the food for a shower, 50 people.
Holy
right?
Shit.
And I talked them into, you've seen a salad bar, right? Or a fajita bar or a taco bar. We're going sliders, Matt, full slider bar.
Right.
Again, If you're gonna have a tailgate or something, you want something that you can eat and not and have your beer in your hand too. This is a Manja TV necessity for the tailgate or a party. You know, you want finger foods. You know, nobody's gonna sit down with a knife and a fork. They're commiserating, you know, have beer in hand, cocktail in hand. So you need finger food, sliders, dude, bulletproof, bong. That's what we do. That's how it. Bloody Mary Barry too. Bloody Mary Barry. Sounds like a children's rhyme. And Barry, by the way, is a place I will be visiting in Chicago when I go there next week. The Barry grocery store and sub shop, definitely Chicago Avenue. You're in Chicago, you got to go get a Barry sub.
I got to say, after spending that week in San Francisco a couple weeks ago with my son, San Francisco might actually have the best sandwiches in America.
Really? I mean, it's always been a dominant food town, always.
Yeah, but I'm talking like sandwiches, like, you know, amazing.
Like New York deli style. I mean, Lee's going to start freaking out here.
No, it's not a New York deli style. That you can leave that to New York or any Jewish deli in your favorite big city. This is completely different. They have like, you know, they're like these hard crusted, almost a little, I don't know, they call it like a Dutch crunch, the bread it's called.
Yeah, that's what the Barry sub is, right? The bread is key.
Okay, yeah, so it's the Dutch, it's soft inside, but it's got like the sugary coating on the outside, so it's crunchy. And then they just, I mean, we went to this place and it was, you know, it was amazing. Right before the Giants game, packed with pastrami, brisket, hot peppers, you know, some special sauce. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's how we roll. That's how we roll.
I'm trying
All
to
right, if not anything else, please visit us at marketvitals.io. Please share, retweet, restream, plagiarize the broadcast. Please join us in our little endeavor.
Here, let me see if you can see this. We've got Dublin, you know, Northwestern and Nebraska are playing in Dublin tomorrow, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock Pacific. So it's like a 5 o'clock start time. So that's going on. And yeah, let me see if you can see this. Hold on. I don't want to share this yet. I'm all.
What's going on, Warren? Mike, welcome. What are you sharing? Come on. Oh yeah. So it's like it's a heart style. It's a lot of meat.
Oh, it's a lot of meat.
A lot of meat. You know, speaking of meat,
but it's like the most tender brisket and the most tender pastrami you've ever had. Like they do it right. They freaking nail it. Good.
How many did you take down? There's the over under.
No, I ate half and he ate half and we took the other one home like for after the game. It was so big. I mean, they were like $20 sandwiches, but they were definitely 2 meals. You know, for a woman, it would have been like 4 meals, but for you and I, you know, maybe 1.5.
All right, let me share one thing here as we're talking pastrami. Why wouldn't we talk some live cattle?
By the way, before you get there, let me just jump on what we talked about earlier in the week. We were talking about NVDA yesterday, and I don't know if you saw this thing today, full round trip.
Wow.
Down 7%. Watch I mean, poor Cat. I bet you Kathy bought it right here again, and then she sold it right here again. Another 300,000 shares for another 30 million gone.
They hired a new day trading desk, and I'm not sure it's going to last.
That is just that is one violent ass chart. Like if you're not trading vol, ooh.
Good to know. Good to see. All right, live cattle. We haven't talked cattle in a bit.
Oh, by the way, all the grains today are down about 2%. So keep that in mind also. Or excuse me.
Well, of course,
up 2%. Excuse me, up 2%. I meant to say, but that's interesting, right? And again, we haven't looked at those charts in a while. I wouldn't mind bringing those.
Hold on 1 second. Just let me talk cattle first, and then you can jump.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, cattle. Pretty solid for me. These cattle, pretty solid failure at taking it out that high out. Now, these are historically high cattle prices to begin with. The drought in Texas has not helped the situation, but when I look at this chart, I can't be very bullish I can't be very bullish. They had a nice attempt. They spent, I don't know, nearly 2 weeks trying to recapture and make new highs, and were unable to do it. That's a lot of market activity, expecting new highs to not get them. I mean, I really think that they're going to go recheck this low momentum level at 146.70 in the cattle, and then reestablish it. If they can keep the positive slope, especially on that lower band, I'm longer term still bullish. So maybe they go recapture all-time highs. But until that happens, I'd be a wait and see mode here in the cattle. Bring up the grains, Matt. Again, going on in the grains right now is an incredibly hard process of predicting what the harvest is going to be. There's a bunch of Twitter, followers and threads out there on crop tours. I drove through the Dakotas and Minnesota. Minnesota had Iowa-looking corn. Ridiculous how good the crops looked in Minnesota, but that's not true for sure. The rain did not distribute very evenly this year. So, and until they get accurate measurements of grain coming out of fields, it's all a bunch of smoke and mirror and guessing. So what do we have? Beans here, continuation, front month.
Yeah, this is a continuation, up 2% almost today again. Been as high as up here, 1455, 1488 recently. And, again, looks like it's coiling. I mean, if it gets into this gap in here, this thing could run up again. So you got to pay attention.
Again, when you look at that, and let's say it's a 30-minute chart, and this is going to happen, today. Are you looking to sell that?
No, well, you could either sell 1500 or buy 1505, right? Those are the two trades here.
Okay.
Like I would kind of put both right now. I would kind of, that's if it was intraday, that gap was there, right? But if we gap up, this gap here to me looks like it wants to get filled at some point, come back, right? We had this big break here on this continuation. From
not only that, Matt, the top end of that profile is perfect as you can get it.
It is. It's distributed very well. And so for us to at least get back into that 1580 to 1700 area seems probable to me with what's going on in the world. Now, that being said, I'll wait for the price action to kind of break out over 15 before I do that, but I could see that happening. So, that's kind of the way I look at that. And then wheat, kind of the same thing, up 2% today. Wheat has been dragging for a while, and we've talked about that. It's been significantly lower. So they obviously are not having as much difficulty with pricing in the wheat markets, right? I mean, that's how I would interpret this. This has been, stepping on it. But what's interesting is you go back to this first part of the year, we're basically back to kind of, we're in balance. So we did kind of a full round trip on wheat, which is a much different looking chart than the beans. The beans are actually, to me, setting up, but they're both positive. Again, you get this thing above 850, and I think you could get a run at least, back to the 975. So I'm leaning, I'm watching these for bullish opportunities, and you're starting to see them. You get these big moves and these shakes on days like today. Like, people are running into things because interest rates are going higher. Housing's not going to be an asset class that you're going to be making money in for the next 10 years, unless you're shorting them. And so, well, I'm just saying.
No, I agree. Warren asked if trading grains, if it's better to trade spreads. And I've always been of the opinion that the calendar spreads are a safer place to be in grains. I will also say this: when you get attached to those calendar spreads and disregard
you're in the
fact that anything can happen in trading, is when you can get in trouble.
Internet in Detroit is
but yeah, for sure, you get a better margin if you're trading a calendar spread. Just look, you chart any other thing. Son of a! It just said your internet.
We can't hear you. It's been totally broken. Bye-bye.
Is that it?
For you, it is. Apparently, I'll have to wrap it up. But it looks like the wheat corn has broken out a little bit more, so I'll just touch on that because we really couldn't. We made out every 17th word on your little diatribe there, so we couldn't hear you. But this to me looks like it wants to fill this gap up here to like 720 or so, and we're trading at 667 again, up a 1.5%. This is basing nicely. Look how it just came back down to that lower part of that profile, and is now rejecting it and going all the way up. So that looks good to me, Bob. And I would say corn, beans, wheat in that order. Watch them because they're all starting to move to the upside, and I think you're going to get a continuous squeeze coming here over the next few months as the fall lays out and energy prices continue to hurt everybody, European and American. And I think that these trends are going to be difficult. The bonds today, again, have been kind of, interestingly, they were kind of bullish still, even though everything else was getting throttled. So, but they pulled back some again here, but they had a couple. I just want to kind of show this move after we, bottomed down there at 136 yesterday. They made another new high here today, but this is really, we're coming in, the bonds kind of roll over here at the end of this month, right? Because they end a little sooner. So we'll be trading the front, the December contract here right around September 1st. So keep that in mind. This is it's already kind of rolling over as, the last couple of days here on the bonds come into play. So again, a lot of headwinds above us up here to the 139 area. So I don't see this going too far. I continue to see bonds going lower. That trend is just in place. Again, when we hit that 146, we continue to break down. We got to test that 131. We never even did that. So we got to go back and test that 131. That's got to come into play at some time. So I would be watching that also. The other thing, we talk about stocks and related to, I think Zillow is going to go down to about $5 to $10. So you heard it here first. It got down here to 27, trading 34. 207, this thing's going, it was 19 for the COVID low. So we're definitely going to the COVID low for sure, maybe, probably. And, ultimately, I think this thing trades back to single digits. Zillow, the once loved, tech name for real estate is, it's going to make new lows. It's going to make new lows.
Bingo. How about that? Did you hear that?
What?
He gone.
What?
Bingo. Did you hear bingo? Yeah, bingo. All right. Yeah. That's what we got. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Bob.
Right on. Well, I'll be back Monday in without a Lions hat on. It'll be a bear hat, as I'll be in Illinois, a place I quit, Illinois.
A place you quit.
And I didn't even have to be told to leave. How about that?
Thank
you. Thank you, Governor. All right, pal. Have a good one.
Is your governor also asking for all Republicans to leave?
Well, he's threatening that he'll eat them if they don't. So, Jabba the Hutt in Springfield.
Oh my God, eat them.
All right, that's it. Thank you. MarketVitals.io. Ciao.
Have a wonderful weekend, and let's see what they do.
Right on.